Hello, let's continue our Sudoku adventure with Gimme Whisper by GDC. So this is the final puzzle of our loop theme week, but I do have a few more loop puzzles that were created. It's very nice that the setters in this series do tend to set more than we need for the week. And so those will get sprinkled as those constructors come up again. And we will revisit loops at that point, which is always nice to do. All right, so this one's very interesting. It feels very minimal. So I'm very interested in solving this, actually. So let's go over the rules. We have normal 6x6 Sudoku rules. So each row, each column, and each 2x3 box. We are placing the digits 1 to 6 exactly once each. We're also drawing a whisper loop. So we need a 1-cell wide loop of orthogonally connected cells. The loop can't touch itself, not even diagonally. So this would be, oops, not that. This would be, oh, come on. This would be a valid loop. So let's say this was the loop. This wouldn't be a valid loop for this puzzle, which we'll learn later. But anyway, this is what a loop looks like, right? It visits cells. It always moves between cell edges. Every single cell has exactly two cells that from the loop that it shares an edge with. And it comes back around. And so there's no start or end to it. It's not a line. It's a loop. Now, we're not allowed to touch ourselves, not even diagonally. So not touching ourselves orthogonally means we can't do something like this, right? It's you can see that by highlighting the cells. So like I could draw this loop just fine. Like this would be a loop, but it breaks our rule that we're touching ourselves orthogonally here. Basically, don't make clumps. Touching yourself orthogonally is always going to make a clump, and that can make it ambiguous how the loop is. Or even if it's not ambiguous, it just visually doesn't look like a loop anymore. It looks like it's thick. And touching yourself diagonally will actually look perfectly fine, but we're just not allowed to do it in this puzzle. So this is kind of the example I've been giving. Oops, I didn't. Okay, let me just fix this here. Like that. So this does not touch itself orthogonally, but right here it touches itself diagonally, and that's not allowed. These are different parts of the loop, and it kind of comes back around and touches the cell that's diagonal. So that's not allowed either. All right, we're of course allowed to return a corner like this. This is fine because this is the loop itself. This is the part of the regional part of the loop, but we can't come back around and touch ourselves. I know it's kind of hard to think about. Some people are having trouble understanding that part, but hopefully it's clear from that example. All right, and this loop that we're drawing is a German whisper loop. So adjacent digits on the loop have a difference of at least 3. So if this was a 2, then next to the 2, I'd have to put a digit that is at least 3 away from 2. So this could be a 5 or a 6 only. No other digit is at least 3 away from 2. And then these two also have to follow that. These two follow that. These two follow that. Every single pair of adjacent digits on the loop have to follow that. And then finally, in addition to that, all of the given digits are on our loop. So our loop has to touch every given digit. And surprisingly, that's it. That's really neat that that's it. I'm very interested in solving this. I hope you are too. There is a link in the description if you'd like to try it yourself. And I'm going to get started right now. So we're going to start by drawing these on the loop. I'm going to draw the loop with green, but then I'm going to use... so we have the concept of low digits and high digits. Let me explain why, but I'm going to mark low digits as blue and high digits as orange. And at least within the loop, I will. And the loop has to go every other low, high, low, high, low, high. This is a low digit, and the digit next to it will be high, because from a low digit, 1, 2, 3, you cannot subtract 3. That would get you in 0 and lower. So you have to add at least 3 to a 1, 2, 3, which brings you into the 4, 5, 6 range. So like if I have a 1, 2, 3 on the loop, on the German whisper loop, then next to that 1, 2, 3 on the loop, I would need to put a 4, 5, or 6. And then next to the 4, 5, 6 on the loop, I would need to go back to 1, 2, 3, because we're adding 3, subtracting 3, adding 3, or more. And so you end up going every other. So I'm going to make orange high and blue low. The other thing that we know about a 3 and 4 on the loop is they both only have one buddy. 3 can only go with 6, and 4 can only go with 1. So this 3 needs to be next to 2 6s. So there is actually... that means we're always using this one, I believe. Yeah, because so one way to think about that is if we put a 6 in both of these, they share a column. So we know that every cell on the loop has 2 cells next to it that are also on the loop, exactly 2. And we can't make it these 2, which means this one must be involved. This must be on the loop, and it must be a 6, and it's orange. And then it's going to either come down here. Oh, it cannot come down here and make a 6 because they share a box. So it's going to go up here for the other 6. And so I'm going to mark this as non-loop because the loop cannot come around and touch itself. I'm going to make this non-loop. So this actually has to continue all the way over here. So this is blue, this is orange, this is blue. It cannot come back down here. It would touch itself. That was actually my example, or close to it. So we cannot take this cell. It would touch this one diagonally. And so we're going to actually continue here with an orange. So we know that this cannot actually be a 4, because again, 4 is special. It would be surrounded by 1s, and that would share a row. So we got to be careful where we put 4s. So this has to be a 5. And now this is 4, or this actually has to be 4, because it sees a 6 and it sees a 5. And so that means it has to be surrounded by 1s. This is going to be one of the 1s, so that means it can't continue here. It must continue here with the 1, because this can't be 1. This sees 1 and 3, so this is a 2. Okay. Now I could go right, or I could keep going down. There's one thing that I want to talk about, which is, I don't know if this is going to be relevant, but it might be. We have a kind of a global checkerboard property here. Because the loop only moves orthogonally, it is forced to move from, so if we were to checkerboard, let's actually checkerboard this. Like so. Let's just make this black for a second. I know I'm gonna be using undo. I'm gonna get rid of all my other colors here, and we're just gonna talk about, I will use undo to get back, but we're gonna talk about our checkerboarding here. Did I checkerboard this correctly? I did not. Hold on, let me checkerboard this. Sorry. Let's get rid of all the color. Let's checkerboard this correctly. Right. What am I doing? Oh my gosh, I don't know what I was doing there. I think I was thinking about checkerboard set, but anyway, we're going to checkerboard this correctly. So if we checkerboard this, then it's pretty clear to see that whatever cell you're on, like if I'm on a white cell, I have to move to a gray cell for my next cell in the loop. And it's because every white cell is surrounded by gray cells, and every gray cell is surrounded by white cells. And so what we can think about is, because we also move between low, high on the German whisper loop, and the loop only moves between orthogonal cells, as it moves, we're going to be moving between low, high. So if I undo all the way, before I did any of that stuff, you can see that within this checkerboard will always be the blues on the loop. It doesn't mean all of the checkerboard is blue, because the loop doesn't touch every cell, and only the loop has to be German whispery. But you can see that it is true so far that blues are exclusively in this checkerboard, and oranges are exclusively in the other checkerboard. Now, I don't know if I want to actually do the checkerboard here, but it is something to keep in mind. We can maybe visualize that as we need to. So as we learn about digits, we can learn whether they can't be looped because they're on the wrong checkerboard. It's basically my concept there. So this is a 3-6 pair. The loop is never going to come over here. It would hit a dead end. This is a 3-4 pair, and this is a 2-5 pair. Can we learn anything else from here? This cannot be loop, because if it were on the loop, it would have to be a 4, and because it has to be high, and 4 is too close to 2. So the loop does not continue here. So, and it can't go down, because it would, like, this is a dead end. We can't take this dead end. Now we can't take this dead end. Now we can't take this dead end. And now we can't take this dead end, because if we go down, we can't go right. We touch ourselves. So we're taking none of those cells, so it means we go up. So that's orange, and it has to be a 5, because 4 cannot be next to 2, and there's already 6 in the box. So now we are going to be, this cell sees 1, 2, and 3. It must be high, therefore it's a 4, and therefore it's not the loop, because it's on the wrong checkerboard. And so this is our 1 or 2 that's low, and on the loop. Okay. It might, I don't know, I think it might be helpful to only color the loop itself, but I'm not sure. This is this 2 looks down, so that's our 2, that's our 1. So we can just fill these out. This is fill outable, that's a 6. This is 1, 3, and this is 4, 5. Okay. So where does our loop go from here? We need to take a low. We can take a 1, 2, or 3. If we go up here, it would be a 3. Now the 3 would have to be next to a 6, so it would take a 6 there. As far as I can tell, that works out just fine. Otherwise we go, could we go down? I think we could go down, we could go right. That's pretty open. Water. If we went down, we'd have to be high. It would be a 5, because it sees 4 and 6. And if we go right, it would be a 5. So this is always next to a 5, which is pretty interesting. So if 5 is in one of these two cells, then think about the cells that they share in common of where they'd remove the 5. So this would remove the 5 from the entire box. These are already can't be 5. And this would remove 5 from this column here. So the intersect is essentially this cell, I mean, these two cells, but these are not 5, or this cell is not 5, I guess is the point. So 5's in one of these two. In fact, we can just fill out 3, 4, 6 here. That has to be a 3. That's probably handy. And then we can fill out 1, 2, 5 here. And we know this one's not a 5 because one of these will be... Actually, by filling this out, it's pretty obvious. Wherever the 1 continues to, it's going to have to be a 5 because it can't be 2. Now, is that could... I'm wondering if we can do this. So we would go from 5 to 2 and then back to 5. And that works just fine. But then we'd be stuck. Look, if we continue the loop this way, how do we continue further? Because this is not allowed. We touch ourselves. So we'd have to continue down here. Remember, this would be 5, 2, 5, and 5 can't be next to 4 or 6. So that actually doesn't work. So I'm never taking this cell because I can't take that corner. So if I go straight down, we go 5, 2. So that means this is always on the loop and it's a 2, right? Because if I go downward straight, I hit this 5, I can't go to this 3. 3 is too close to 5. So I'd go over here and it'll be 1 or 2. And if I go over this way, I'd have a 5 here, which would go to this 1 or 2. So this is on the loop. And now from here, 1 or 2 could either take a 6 here or it could take the 5 here. It's tempting just to finish. I mean, I don't know how this loops. How are we distinguishing this? All right, well, let's do some Sudoku then, because I don't know if there's more loop logic here. This is 2 or 5. Oh, is there more Sudoku? I feel a little bit stuck here. Oh, we can't come up here because it would touch itself. It's always something like that. So we either go down and right, or we just go straight right. If we go down, we have to take this long U so we don't touch ourselves, and we come up here. Is this in the right checkerboard, actually? This is in the wrong checkerboard. This can never be on the loop. The 4, 6 here can't be on the loop because of the checkerboard rule. Because here's our orange checkerboard here. So, what about our low checkerboard? I'm not sure, but I mean, okay, we're gonna have to come up into this box, and we can't take this or this cell. So this is used, and we have to come straight through. That's the only way it's going to work. And so this can't be a 4 because it would be surrounded by double 1. So this is a 6, and we just connected. We just did it. So these are not loop. We connect here or here, whichever one ends up 5. I guess they can't both be 5. That's 3 and 6. That's 4. I'm guessing they can't both be 5 because otherwise we wouldn't be able to. Oh no, we're not allowed to touch ourselves diagonally. So we have to come up this way. That's what it is. So that's a 5. That's 2. And our loop is done. Oh, it's kind of a small loop. Interesting. This is not a 2, not a 3. So this is a 1, and that's a 2. That's 5 and 1. So they did both end up 5. It's just you can't touch yourself diagonally, and that resolved it. That's 3 and 1. That's 2. Glad I thought about that. This column needs a 4. That gives us 5 and 4. We need the 5 and the 3, and we're done. DD2 right at the end. Wow, that's really neat that ended up 3 givens, and the German Whisperer loop rule was enough to make this puzzle unique, which is pretty neat. I don't even know how you would set something like this. I would not be able to set a puzzle like this. Maybe you have to work backwards from like a valid loop and then find givens that make it unique. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested if GDC has any setting insights on this because, yeah, I don't know how I would approach this. I think I'd have to try a few different things. Cool. It's always nice to solve a puzzle where you go, how did you make this puzzle? All right, cool. Well, it feels more like a discovery than a setting, but who knows? That's it. Hope you enjoyed this. Let me know how you did. If you did enjoy it, why not leave a like, subscribe, and a kind comment below.